So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on wherever you are. I'm Yerusha Moodley. Based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I'm a chartered accountant by qualification, and I also have my MBA. I've spent most of my working career working in either investment, corporate governance, and finance across Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. I have a passion for ESG and sustainability, so I'm very interested in those aspects when I look at potential companies to work for. I am currently on the board of Veblen, as well as 3 companies. If my slides would move, but I think it's just a bit frozen at the moment. So I'm on 3 other companies. One is Home from Home Care Homes, which is a UK-based company, Kukanya Ventures, which is incorporated in Mozambique, and Lumikai Med, which is incorporated in India. I follow a philosophy: in calm, we find clarity, and where clarity meets courage, that's where true impact begins. Apologies, I'm having a slight delay in my slides. So in my early days, my boardroom journey has been slightly unconventional because after my 15 years of working experience, I took a 2-year sabbatical in which I had 2 babies in very quick succession. And about 6.5 months ago, I decided that I wanted to re-enter the world of work. And I started to think about, can I leverage my skills and my experience in a way that can add impact? And I decided that I wanted to be a part of sitting on boards of companies, but I didn't know exactly where to start. And I was tossing up between, at that point in time, of doing an Institute of Director program. And while researching that, I came across the Veblen program. And what I liked about Veblen is that it allowed a platform in which it firstly mapped out a journey for you to acquire board positions, but it also allowed a mechanism for you to gain practical experience, practical tips that could help you in your boardroom journey. So unlike Mateus, who applied 4 hours after joining Veblen, I actually started by focusing on completing a bit of the coursework and building up my digital presence. Now, my digital presence before joining Veblen was practically non-existent. I was on LinkedIn that never updated their profile, never posted a post, never even liked another person's post, besides even having the confidence to put my own post in. But since joining Veblen, that is a mental barrier that I managed to overcome, and I'm currently working on. And part of the Veblen journey is and I call this a networking win, is I met with actually the chair of the Veblen board, Archita Fritz, and she helped me realize my online profile, which was reflected through LinkedIn, should be a reflection of the role that I aspire to. It shouldn't just be a reflection of what I thought I was an expert in. Now, this was quite a light bulb moment for me, because before that, I thought I had to be an expert in a subject to actually put it in my LinkedIn profile. But if I did not have what I wanted to aspire to be, how would any potential people looking for potential roles know that that's what I wanted to do? So if I wanted to be a board member, my online LinkedIn profile should say that I wanted to be a board member. So after taking this advice, refining my LinkedIn profile, and following the guidance of the online training, I actually secured my sports seat, and that was actually with the Veblen Director Program. And to give you an idea, this was about 2 months after joining the Veblen program. Sorry, just going one slide back. In terms of what I liked about the Veblen program is that it broke what you needed to do into 5 components. And we also were able to do a boardroom profile test, which showed us how did we fare in each of these 5 elements and where did we need to work on. I found this particularly valuable, as for me, items such as connections and profile was something that I had gaps in. And how working on connections actually proved to be very profitable for me is that the relationships I built with Veblen Network actually played a key role in helping me secure them. For example, Susie Harvey, who is also a speaker on this call, reached out to me via the Veblen network and was key in referring me for a position for a UK board advisor role. And so without actually applying for the role, it's actually through knowing Susie that I managed to land this role. And now both Susie and myself are board advisors for this UK-based company. Another key learning for me in terms of my knowledge has been that real growth begins where your comfort zone ends. And changing your mindset is key in unlocking that journey. So where this played out for me is I was actually listening to a talk from Callum, and Callum was talking about feeling like an imposter in the room. And before this talk, I had always assumed that if you felt like an imposter in a room, it was because you didn't belong in that room. And this was a real mindset shift for me because I began to realize through Callum's talk that sometimes when you feel as an imposter in the room, it is because you have the greatest opportunity to make the greatest learning in that room. It is a place where you are uncomfortable, and in this uncomfortable place is where you can get the most amount of growth. So I had to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And part of that for me, a practical example, was getting comfortable about posting in LinkedIn. So in terms of profile, I positioned myself as a strategic risk, governance, and finance leader, because this is in terms of where my previous knowledge and experience had lended itself. I also found that in terms of a boardroom, in how you can add value, the ability to align a company's strategy, their risk profile, as well as their finance requirements is something that has proven to be very valuable in a boardroom space. So this is items that I have now decided to highlight in my online profile to bring out what value I can add to potential boards. And part of the value that I bring to boards is the ability to take a lot of disaggregated information together and bring it together in a clear, succinct way, in a way that's able to solve real-world problems for companies. And part of that is knowing the moment to hear and be heard, because on boards, you don't all have to know the exact answer, but what you do need to be able to do is to actively listen to what are the problems that specific boards are going through. How do we bring those problems in a way that practical solutions can be. And part of this is hearing what's been said around the room and then bringing it and speaking up when the moment is right on how these problems can be solved. The other element of the 5 components is leverage. And with leverage, it's about how do we embrace opportunities to connect, learn, and grow professionally. In my case, I wanted to build on my connections. And as part of building my connections, I actually joined a speed networking event that was held by Veblen, I think less than 2 weeks ago. And this was really valuable for me because I am an introvert, and the speed networking event actually facilitated introductions to many individuals across the globe who I ordinarily would not have reached out to. And this allowed that initial introduction that then led to further one-on-one conversations being held with individuals. And these connections are very vital because you don't know who will be the next person to open the door for either future board opportunities or teaching you a new skill or the ability to connect you to someone else who may have be able to provide an opportunity for you. So actually embracing these opportunities to connect has been, for me, incredibly valuable. In terms of lessons and future goals, so I'm currently on the board of SMEs, and I want to land board positions in mid-size to larger companies and eventually PLCs. A big lesson for me has been the ability to basically increase my digital presence, because as I mentioned before, that was virtually non-existent before joining Veblen. And it still is a work in progress because your digital presence is a reflection of who you are and who you want to be. And this is something that you can truly leverage to attract your future positions that you want to attain. So this again has been a mindset shift for me, and something that I have found very, very valuable. And another part, which is both a lesson and a future goal, is that I want to be a part of purpose-led organizations where my values can align to the companies that I work for, and I'm in a position where I can drive meaningful change. So even the SMEs for which I've joined be a member of their board in an advisory capacity have organizations which have either a sustainability or a social impact and really drive positive change in the communities in which they operate. And this really aligns with my purpose, and it's how I want to engage in board positions going forward. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to my board journey today. I've included my LinkedIn details, and I would love for you to connect with me, and hopefully we will have a meaningful one-to-one connection in the future when our paths hopefully cross.